Hello everyone. Today we're going to actually begin to look at the different energy centers of the body and seeing how sound can bring them into alignment and balance. These energy centers are very well known as the chakra centers, and chakra itself is a Sanskrit word for wheel. So many times people look at these energy centers as kind of spinning wheels. Whether you're into the subtle body of yoga or whether you just regard these centers as nerve plexuses, doesn't really matter. It's a very useful model for us to follow, and it actually works quite well when we bring these centers into balance within us. We're going to start with the seventh chakra, the root chakra, known as the Muladhara. Muladhara. Mula means root and Dhara means, what does it mean? It means support. So it's very interesting that when we look at the root chakra, which can be looked at as the base of the tailbone, sometimes it's looked at as more the pelvic floor, the perineum, the area between your anus and the sexual organs, that place there. Just depends, but I think we can look at it as the base of the body, really. And at the base of the body, it's kind of forms like a hammock. But the hammock is more like the diaphragm that we have, our breathing apparatus. As we breathe in, the diaphragm contracts and goes down, and as we breathe out, as we exhale, the diaphragm domes up a little bit. So we have this kind of action. Well, similarly, on our pelvic floor, we have the same action in harmony with the breathing diaphragm. So when this area at the base of our body is tight, it can cause all kinds of problems. And understandably, we have a lot of hang-ups in this area regarding defecation and our sexual function and just our body balance and our posture and how we can get really uptight for various reasons and can go way back into childhood and all of that stuff. So balancing it out is actually a pretty healthy thing to do. And it can affect our movements and our posture, as I said, and also our digestive organs. So when we're in balance in this area, that, let me say this, that this particular chakra, first of all, the color associated with it usually is red, and the element associated with it is the earth element. And so we're going to be talking about grounding, getting grounded. But when this chakra is balanced, because so much of it is concerned with the area of survival, we're in balance when we have a kind of a sense of fulfillment with our safety, our shelter, and our monetary situation, our financial situation. When we're kind of satisfied with that or we're calm about that, that chakra is pretty much in balance. It gets out of balance or hyperactive when we're overcharged, when we're jittery or anxious or fearful about money, fearful about our safety, fearful about how we're going to be housed. And of course, we can just see that's rampant at this particular time. Hopefully not for amongst ourselves, but certainly in the world. So if you have any of that or you've been picking up anybody else's stuff, it can really affect that energy center too. The thing about the energy center is that it picks up other resonances. So we want to, as much as possible, just balance that out. So sometimes it's undercharged as well. So if we've got no concerns about safety or haven't had in our life or money or shelter or anything like that, it can actually unground us. You see this with some people as well, that they're airheaded or spaced out, ungrounded. They've been kind of too pampered in a way, and so they don't seem to have that groundedness, and that's a form of imbalance as well. And so they need a kind of more of a groundedness as well. So in the yogic system, there's certain tones that relate to the chakra centers. I'm not particularly fond of them, but that doesn't mean anything other than personal preference. And please feel free to explore them. I'm not going to go over them. I can tell you the one for the root chakra is Lam, L-A-M, and then it goes up with the various others. So I won't be going over those details because I don't find them particularly helpful or accessible, but you may. Again, different strokes for different folks, so please don't take my bias or my preference really as an indicator. Please allow yourself to explore these things in your own way, and we're just giving you an opening to, if it interests you. So what I prefer is a system that was kind of developed, I think, by Jonathan Goldman. Jonathan Goldman is a big author in the sound world, and he came up with a vowel system for the chakras. I've even heard of the chakras being related to the solfeggio, meaning do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. So the do would be the actual root chakra, and then going up from there. That may help, I don't know, but what we're going to do is Jonathan Goldman's system, which is kind of interesting, is fun to explore. Here he has the first kind of vowel as almost like an sound, and it's come somehow between like the cup, like and so it's like so we're going to be ing about 7 times, and I'll do it once, and then you can do your own because I don't want to kind of impose my on yours. But the idea is to get it like a pretty low tone. I mean, if I'm going I'm going to be much more up here. But if I'm trying to get that base chakra, that lower diaphragm that I mentioned, the pelvic floor essentially, to vibrate a little bit and just to balance out this area. So we're going to be erring there, and I'm going to be playing to begin with the frame drum. You've heard this before, and I'll just be giving a very steady beat, nothing too fancy, just to get the maximum resonance and just to see if this kind of creates any kind of vibration, see where it affects your body. Some of you may say, well, I feel it in my shoulders, and it's like, great. That's where you need the sound at this time. Never kind of restrict yourself. If that's where the sound is going, if that's where the energy is going, follow the energy is one of my mantras. That's where the energy is going, follow it, because it's telling you something. So don't get stuck on anything. But we're just forming a template here, some kind of guidance system. Then I'm going to play the gong. Again, nothing too dramatic, just enough to kind of just give a nice bass tone and for you to kind of you don't have to do it all the time, just when you can kind of find that tone within, or just listening and just finding it within that root chakra center. So then at the end of it, when we've done that about 7 times or however many times we do it, then I'm going to close with the hue. If you remember, the hue is an ancient name for God with a very, very high frequency and vibration. So that can take us really inward and really away. So once we're grounded, it's actually helpful to do the hue. And you'll just see me gesture with my hands. It's like as I take the hue. And I'll chant the hue 7 times as I bring it up my own body and align all the other chakras as well, so we have that alignment. And then the next day we'll do the next chakra, but we'll always kind of end with the hue. And at the hue, then we'll go into silence, and then you can just go away or feel better and start your day whenever you listen to these particular sound meditations. So that's the big story for the day. Let's again, as always, just bring ourselves forward into the energy field by asking for the highest and purest light from the highest and purest source to surround and fill each one of us and the space we're in for the highest good. And I can kind of hear kind of a helicopter in the background. And it's kind of an interesting sound actually in relation to what we're doing, because it's got that so we can use outside sounds sometimes to vibrate various parts of our body and use them to kind of bring us into balance, believe it or not, rather than take us out of balance. Oh my God, what's that noise? You know, it's just, no, it's just like, okay, how can I use this sound to resonate with? So we ask for that light to surround and fill each one of us here. And again, we can take this opportunity to place ourselves into that light for the highest good, and anyone else that's in need of it at this time. And I think there's a lot that's in need of it. Sometimes we can just place the planet into the light for the highest good, or the country, or the pandemic, or the resolution, the graceful resolution of this pandemic for the highest good again. So once we've got the light around us, then we ask for the loving, or we don't ask for the loving. In a sense, we're calling ourselves forward into these energy fields. I want you to get the idea. We're not kind of pulling something from within. It's just like, it's here, it's present, just like classical music or rock music or talk radio is in the room. All I need is a radio to kind of tune into it. The light is here, so we're just calling ourselves forward into that higher frequency. We're calling ourselves forward into the loving. Sometimes that loving is behind a wall of judgment or contraction. So, but it's always here. So we call ourselves forward into the loving. And so the loving hearts, we open that and let that go through our body and our cells for the highest good as well. And let that amplify this light that is now with us and around us. I also ask for the mystical traveler consciousness to take any negativity or karma that can be lifted from us at this time, any dis-ease, fears, worries, concerns, taking it back into the nothingness from which it came for our highest good. And also, I'm doing all of this kind of in the name of John Roger, my spiritual teacher, who really brought me into this whole field of spiritual awareness and awakened so much inside of me. So I'm so grateful for that, and I just always kind of ask for his energy and presence to infuse what we're doing here for our highest good. And you may have your own spiritual teacher that you want to, or your guides that you would like to bring into the mix as well, and of course feel free to do that. Always do what works for you. At the end of the day, it's a oneness. We are one. And sometimes when we're together, chanting together, in addition to the hue, we'll add the anai, A-N-I, so we'll chant anai hue, which anai brings in the quality of empathy. But the best translation of anai hue I've heard of is we are one, and that's certainly true. So set your intention, or I don't like the word set your intention, have your intention present for this session, and use the sound to carrying it in as a carrier wave into the field of grace for your highest good. Although today's intention may be to balance your energy field, balance you out, or set the, be prepared for kind of, in a sense, lift off, the foundation for you to lift off into the higher consciousness, into who you truly are. So again, let us just settle ourselves down, and the tone that we're using is again, somewhere between a cup and the root chakra. We place that into the light for the highest good, the balancing of our root chakra, so that we come into balance with our basic needs and into a sense of relaxation and calm about them all.